As I explore the state of Nevada, history is always on the itinerary. Today, I'm traveling back in time. My destination? 1939.
How you doing, John?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Glad
You
to
look
have you here.
fantastic.
Hey, I'm 1939 right here at Scotty's Castle.
And you look good. This place is spectacular.
Meet Scott Combs, a tour guide here at the castle. I hear he has a moatload of stories.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, it actually belonged to a wealthy man from Chicago. His name was Albert Johnson, and Albert Johnson was an insurance executive. Now, you wouldn't expect somebody named Albert Johnson to own a place called Scotty's Castle.
Strange.
But Scotty's Castle is named after another gentleman. His name is Walter Scott. Now, Walter Scott is better known by his characterization as Death Valley Scotty. That was a man who claimed he had a gold mine in Death Valley, got a lot of investors, including Albert Johnson. They all came out here and found out that Scotty really didn't have that gold mine after all. But it created a friendship that grew over the years between Albert Johnson and Walter Scott. And that's really why we're here today, because Albert Johnson built a castle in the desert, called it Death Valley Ranch, but it's always been known as Scotty's Castle.
I cannot wait to see what's inside.
All right, well, we'll go just a minute, but first, we need to get you in costume.
Really?
Yeah, come on ahead.
Oh, I'm so into it. Let's go.
Now that I'm all decked out in my 1930s attire, I feel ready to hear all of Scott's and Scotty's tales.
Just this door. How do I even operate it?
Well, that's why you're a guide. We need to train you.
Just the door is so impressive.
I want to give you a little bit of the history and introduce you to the castle before we go inside.
I feel like I'm in another country now.
Well, you are kind of, at least from the 21st century. Again, construction began in 1922, ended at 1931. Of course, we are talking about Albert Johnson building Scotty's Castle. Well, it's about 12,000 square feet under roof between the annex and the castle proper. It's really here because of a friendship that existed between Death Valley Scotty and Albert Johnson. Began in 1906 at a place called Wingate Pass.
Incredible.
This is the Great Hall. To understand the story of the castle, you have to understand the relationship between Albert Johnson and Death Valley Scotty. See, Albert Johnson was a wealthy man, but he was a private man. Didn't want or need publicity. And then he built a castle in the desert in the 1920s, and you're going to get publicity whether you want it or not. So when their friend Death Valley Scotty began to claim ownership of this castle, and it became known as Scotty's Castle, well, they had to carry that on, and the Johnsons supported it, because then they didn't have to answer questions about why they were here. But an evening in 1939, you actually could have rented a room and spent the night in his house. And had you done so, you would have expected entertainment. And the entertainment at Scotty's Castle in 1939 was a well-known storyteller, and his name was Death Valley Scotty.
Of course
You might have come down from your room in 1939 and found Scotty seated in this middle chair. To his right would have been Bessie Johnson, and to his left would have been Albert. And seated around them, the guests of an evening, Scotty entertaining them with banter and stories.
The provincial Spanish villa still holds the original furniture installed by the Johnsons, and it's visited by 100,000 people every year.
Oh my gosh.
This is the upper music room, and it has a special treat we often, we always share with our visitors.
What are the rods that go across?
Well, they're pretty nice looking, but they're also functional because they actually hold the arch in place. But, I have a little special thing I want to show you here, and I just ask you to kind of stand right here.
Okay.
And just give me just a second.
This self-playing piano was installed in 1929. Back then, the keyboard was hidden behind curtains, and the roll player closed, so its mysterious operation amazed and entertained guests.
I want one of these. I want whatever this is. I want one of this.
As much as I want to stay here, there's one more historical room in this castle I have to see.
This is actually Scotty's bedroom. The Johnsons did build and furnish it for him. The photographs on the wall are from Scotty's past. A portrait at the far end as well. That is Buffalo Bill, and he worked for Buffalo Bill for about 12 years in the Wild West show. But, well, Scotty, he was a bit of a deceptor. Part of the deception has to do with his bedroom. Because you see, I told you about Scotty telling stories out there. And, well, he told people that at the end of the evening, that it was time to go to bed. And he'd walk right into this room. He'd change into other clothes, his desert clothes, get into his car outside that door, and drive right around that ridge all the way back to the house he really lived in.
He was deceptive, but he was charming.
He was absolutely charming. And he certainly made a lot of people happy, especially that guy named Albert Johnson.
Well, it took some time, but Scotty and Albert finally got their castle in the middle of the desert. I tell you, going back in time was never so much fun.